Hi everyone, Miss Lauren here, Children's Librarian from the Half Hollow Hills Community Library, and I'm so excited to share this great program with you today called Stained Glass Art. So before we begin our art project, I'd just like to talk to you a little bit about stained glass. So have you ever seen stained glass before? And if you've seen it, do you remember where you saw it? So stained glass is colored glass that's cut into pieces and then it's reassembled to create a work of art or a decorative design. And the pieces are held together by lead. So when light shines through the picture, the glass is illuminated. So that's why most oftentimes stained glass is window designs or sometimes on your lamp, so that way the light will shine through it. So a lot of times the glass is colorless and then it's painted to make it look different colors. There is a whole process, glass painting process, where there's different chemicals added to create the glass. And today we're not going to do that, but it's a really cool process if you're ever interested in learning more. So early stained glass windows began in the Middle Ages, so that was a long time ago, in Western Europe mostly. And stained glass is commonly found in churches, so you might have seen stained glass at a church or passing by a church. In the 1900s, stained glass was used in different ways, and that's when two men named John Lafarge and Louis C. Tiffany created what we know now as the Tiffany Lampshade, which is stained glass on a lampshade. So the light shines through it and it looks really beautiful. It's all created with colors and different designs. And there are lots of famous artists that create beautiful works of art using stained glass. And some of those artists include Leonard French and also Sir Edward Burne-Jones. But again, these are just two examples of artists that use stained glass. There are so many more. And since glass and lead are very, very tricky materials to use, we're not going to be using those today. We have similar materials, things that you can find around your house that we'll use to create something that resembles stained glass. So I hope you had a chance to pick up your grab-and-go kit from the Chestnut Hill location. And inside the grab-and-go kit, you'll find some supplies that we'll be using today. But in addition, we have some other materials that will be helpful for you to use. And I'll show you what those are. So let's get ready to create some beautiful works of art. Okay, so now it's time to get crafty. So this is a really messy project, and food coloring can stain your clothes or the surface that you're working on. So make sure that you wear your messy clothes or a smock, and make sure all of your surfaces are covered while you create your project and while your project is drying. And it's also really important to keep in mind that your painting or your surface has to be flat. So if we use our picture frame that we have here, you can see that there is an angle. So if I leave it flat on the table, or I lay it flat, as you can see, there's an angle. So you're going to want to prop it up with something that you have at home to make sure that it's an even surface. So that way when you're doing your project and when your project is drying, that you don't have drips. And I'll show you an example of what I mean by that. And you also want to make sure that you don't use a lot of food coloring. The food coloring will also cause dripping. It will cause your colors to smudge a little bit and get a little muddy. So we don't want that. So you just want to use very little drops of food coloring when you're creating your artwork. And you're going to want to use more glue than food coloring. So here we have the glue that came in your grab-and-go kit. Should be plenty of glue for the project, but you want to use a lot of that glue. And the glue is going to help create that glass effect, which is really cool. So now I'll show you some examples of what I made and then we'll create something together. But of course, if you want to create something a little bit different, you're welcome to do that. These are just samples, and again, I'll just show you what I did, and you can use your creativity to create something great. So here is an example of something I created. As you can see, it's very drippy because I used a lot of food coloring, and that created that dripping effect. So if you like that, you can certainly use more food coloring, but again, you just want to be careful so you don't have too many drips in your artwork. But here's a sample of something I did with a complete background. I covered the whole space. And then here's something I did where I just did a small design. I didn't color the entire space. And here is my rainbow design. And as you can see, the clouds on my rainbow are starting to drip a little bit because I used too much food coloring. I also did not prop it up. It's still drying, and because I left it facing down, the drips are going down. So again, you just want to make sure it's propped up, that it's flat, so that way it won't dry with those drips. And it does take a while, so make sure that you put it on a surface that you're not going to touch, or that somebody in your family won't accidentally bump into. But it's really cool. As you can see, I'm putting my hand behind it, behind the sun, and you can see that sort of like stained glass effect, which is pretty neat. Okay, so now it's time to get started. So we're going to use the picture frames that came in your grab and go kit. And we're going to grab our brush. You're also going to want to make sure you have a bowl or a cup with water in it so that you can rinse your brush to use different colors. And then your food coloring that hopefully you were able to purchase before the program or that you had in the house. Also, lots and lots and lots of paper towels or coverings. So you want to cover your surface, make sure everything is covered. And again, make sure your sleeves are rolled up and you're not wearing your nicest clothes, because food coloring can and will stain. So you just want to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, so we're going to cover our surface. We're going to take our frame, and I'm going to get started. I'm going to do the rainbow. I'm going to do another rainbow effect. But again, if you don't want to do that, that's okay too. You can choose to do your own design. So I'm going to take my plexiglass, and I'm going to take my brush, and I'm going to dip my brush into the glue. And it's really sticky and very messy, but we'll give it a shot. So you're going to really glob on the glue, and you're going to paint your picture frame. So you really want a thick layer of glue. Again, the glue is what's going to create that really cool glass effect. And I'm just doing a small section because I want to do the rainbow, the colors of the rainbow. So I'll take my red food coloring now, and again, just really lightly. I'm just going to use 1 drop of food coloring, and that should be it. I'm going to get some more glue, and then I'm just going to smooth it on in there, and you can see the red starting to fan out, and just like that. And I'm just going to create that effect, so I'm going to now rinse out my brush in the water that we had set aside, put my brush back into the glue, and now next to the red I'm going to paint more glue. And we're just going to glob that on really well. And I am going to get my yellow food coloring, and I'm going to put the yellow in that spot. Just 1 drop again. Whoop, my drop went running. All right, and with the yellow, we're going to mix that with the red and sort of create like this orange effect next to the red. You can see that. And again, just fanning it out so that the colors sort of blend together. And again, just using lots and lots of glue, because that's what's going to create that really cool effect. have it. There's my rainbow design. And as you can see, my hands are getting really messy and it's starting to drip from the sides. So again, you're gonna wanna just lay it flat on a flat surface at home. Make sure it's not at an angle, and it's gonna take a while to dry. So once it's dry, you'll have a beautiful, beautiful masterpiece. I'm gonna leave mine here to lay it flat. Okay, so there you have it. Here is my final product of my beautiful stained glass masterpiece. I'll put my hand behind there so you can see that it's translucent, it's see-through, and it really turned out pretty cool. So I'm going to put it on a surface that is flat so it can lay flat and dry. But there is my beautiful stained glass rainbow. So I hope you enjoyed our program today. Hope you learned a little bit about stained glass, and I hope you had fun. Thanks for joining, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.